right. Hello there, everyone. Welcome to my kitchen. I'm so happy that you were able to find me. I apologize, the other link, something was wrong with it that I couldn't figure out. So you are now here with me at this link and in my kitchen. So thank you for joining me. My name is Hannah, and I am a nutrition educator with Cornell Cooperative Extension of Jefferson County. And I'm here today for another video in our series, What Can I Cook With? And if you've been watching us for a while, you know that in the beginning of the series, we were cooking with pantry items like canned tuna, beans, salad dressing, frozen vegetables, things like that you might have on hand. And then, lucky us, farmers markets and roadside stands and CSAs all opened up, and we've been able to have this wonderful, beautiful produce that we can cook with. So now we are doing What Can I Cook with local produce, with a different type of produce each week that maybe you've seen before but didn't quite know what to do with, or maybe it's something that you really enjoy and are just looking for some new inspiration around. And we've got you here. That's all what we are talking about. So I realized over the past few weeks, I've been cooking from my CSA box. I've been talking about local foods, and I realized we should probably all kind of get on the same page about what local foods are. Because it has been, thrown around, especially in the pandemic, when we talk about local food and access and what we can eat and feed our families. And so it has a lot of different meanings. So I looked it up, and according to the United States Department of Agriculture, they say local food is food produced within a certain geographic range. So again, still kind of vague. But generally, the way we can think about local food is food that is grown or produced by a farmer we know, a farmer or producer in a city that we live in, a city we've been to that we know about, one that you find at a farmer's market, a roadside stand, somewhere where the farmer is there handing you the food that you're picking. Or if you are here in New York State and you've been to one, or passing through New York State and you've been to one of the welcome centers, they have the Taste New York stores, which are all local produce to the region as well. So there's a couple ways that you can think about local food. Another term that you might hear a lot about that I was pretty interested in is the term food miles as a way to determine how local food is. So food miles, from my understanding and the research I did, was the amount of miles of food travels from where it is produced to where it is consumed. So thinking about a strawberry that is grown in California but eaten in New York has a lot of food miles, whereas a strawberry that is grown in New York State, in your same county, and eaten at your house in the same county is going to have much fewer food miles than that one that comes all the way from California. So why is this important? Why are we talking about local food? What's the deal? So local food is important for a lot of different reasons, and I'm super excited to continue talking about it as we cook in future weeks. But basically, because it doesn't travel so far, it's going to be a lot fresher, so it's going to have better flavor. The nutrients won't have time to degrade, and then it also has economic, environmental, and community benefits. So we'll dive a little bit deeper into those in future weeks, but there's just kind of an overview of what I'm thinking about and why I've been trying to choose local foods more often. So today I'm really excited because I'm going to be cooking from a farm fresh bag that I got from North Star Food Hub. So for those of you who aren't familiar with what a food hub is, this one in particular is a collection of farmers, specifically from New York State and the North Country region, who are essentially pooling their products together so it's easier for the consumer, us, to have access to them. So it's not so much driving and seeing a roadside stand and purchasing it there, though that is a ton of fun and you never know what you can find. But this is just another way to get local food. And similar to CSA boxes and farmers markets, you can choose what products from what farmers you want to have delivered. Or like I'm getting today, it was a curated bag. So kind of whatever was picked this week, we're going to explore. And then I realized that I've been talking about my CSA or community supported agriculture box in previous weeks, but I never really showed you what it was like to get it or unbox it, which is one of my favorite parts because you just have this excitement of what do I get to make this week. So I thought I would try to bring that joy to you all today. Full disclosure, I did already slightly unpack it and wash some things just because I wanted to know what I was going to make with you all and not be running around my kitchen trying to pull something together. And also I didn't want to just be washing produce the whole time because even though this food has not touched as many hands, it's probably just the farmer and then maybe someone doing packaging, though often that's the farmer themselves. And then me, there still might be dirt and it's always a good call, food safety wise, to just give all your produce a good rinse. So it's a big bag. And it's heavy. Go ahead and pull it up on here and show you what's going on. So the first thing that I was super excited to find was some carrots. And I love that they have the carrot tops because something I've been doing lately to reduce food waste and get a delicious food item is making carrot top pesto. Because sometimes it can be hard to get a ton of basil to make traditional pesto, and carrot tops are a really delicious substitute. So we got those going on. Then I've got 2 bell peppers in here. So I might make those garden sloppy joes like I did a few weeks ago on this session. With these, you could also do stuffed bell peppers or just have them as a snack, maybe with your pesto as a dipping sauce. And then we've got a bag of tomatoes. So a couple of these big, beautiful ones going on. And then also a container of these cherry tomatoes. And I did have to do some, we'll call it quality control, and taste tested a few of them, and they were really good. It was hard not to eat all of them, but then I realized I wanted to show you some things that we can cook with them. So cherry tomatoes, and I am just going to give these a quick rinse right now because I haven't yet, and we are going to cook with them. So just putting them in my colander and give them just a quick rinse. And then those will just hang out until we're ready to use them. Okay, then also going on in here, we have a bag of green beans, which if you watched when I did sheet pan dinners before, you know that these are one of my favorite vegetables. So definitely using these tonight in what we're preparing. And then I'm going to go ahead and move this down because it's taking up some space. And let me go ahead and angle you down so you can see what we're working with. So then we have a yellow watermelon. If any of you have seen one of these before, I'll cut it open later on. But yellow watermelon are a little bit sweeter. They taste a little bit more like honey than their red fleshed varieties. So I'm thinking I will make a cucumber, yellow watermelon, feta cheese salad to kind of go. Will be really nice and refreshing. If you have some fresh herbs like mint or basil, that would go really good in that as well. But we'll talk about that one a little bit later on. And then lastly, not even lastly, I've got some cucumbers, which makes sense. I'm going to put them with this watermelon in that salad. And then I've got about 8 ears of corn in there. So these are really beautiful. For the corn, I think if you didn't want to turn on your oven, you could just do a simple corn and tomato salad with maybe some feta or goat cheese and some fresh basil. So corn, I think I talked about this last week when we used it to make gazpacho, but you don't need to cook it. I usually do like to because it can caramelize the starches a little bit, make it a little bit sweeter. And in that case, I would just dunk it in boiling water until the kernels turn a little bit more brighter yellow. But lots of options for the corn. Okay. So what we're gonna be making a couple different things that I alluded to a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and move some of this to the side so we have space to cook. And so today, we are going to be making another sheet pan dinner. That way, once it's in the oven and all prepped, I can cook with some of the rest of this produce and show you a couple different ideas. So last time we made a sheet pan dinner, it was tofu and green beans, if I'm remembering correctly. And all these videos that I'm referencing, you can find on our YouTube channel. So we've cooked with some of these things before. So if you're looking for additional inspiration, check it out there. Okay. So as I mentioned, this week we will be cooking with a sheet pan of salmon. So I've got my salmon fillet on a nice oiled baking sheet, and my oven is preheated to 400 degrees. And I think we've mentioned before, even though we talk about local produce a lot on here, you can also get other local foods. So local fish, local meat, local honey, maple syrup, other local products, and you can find them a lot at the places that I mentioned, roadside stands, the Taste New York stores, the North Star Food Hub. And so there's a lot of different ways that you can eat local. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is make a little sauce for our salmon. So one of my favorite combinations is lemon and garlic. So we're gonna go with that. No need to mess with perfection. Okay, so in my little ramekin, I have 4 cloves of minced garlic. So I've got that in there. And then I'm gonna add some lemon juice and some lemon zest. So I don't know if I've talked about on here before, one of my coworkers, April, and I do a series, What Can I Cook? Or sorry, that's this one. We do a different series that's called From the Kitchen, where we talk all about different kitchen topics. And on our session that was about reducing food waste, she shared with me this amazing tip that has changed how I work in the kitchen. But whenever she has lemons, she zests them, uses the zest she needs, and then freezes any left over. So sometimes, you know, it's always frustrating for me if I have a recipe that calls for lemons, I use them up, and then 2 days later I have one that calls for lemon zest, and it just has gone to waste. So that's been an amazing tip for me. Right, if you don't have a little zester like I have, you can absolutely use a microplane or a grater, or even a vegetable peeler. Just make sure not to get a lot of that white part, the pith, in there. So we've got this. I'm just going to give it a rough chop before I add it into my garlic. All right. I don't know if I have ever really cooked with any knives that aren't my chef's knives, so this is kind of fun. All right, so about the zest of 1 lemon, it depends on how lemony you want things. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut my lemon in half and juice it. Let me just pop the seeds out. Great. And we'll just go ahead and give it a good zest. And then you can use this lemon half. I'm pretty sure I shared this tip on here before, but add a little bit of baking soda to it. This tip comes from my mom, but add a little bit of baking soda to it and use it to scrub if you have a stainless steel sink. You can also then put it down your garbage disposal if you have a strong garbage disposal and run it to help it smell a little bit fresher. Okay, so now I have the juice of 1 lemon. Let me go grab a strainer real quick because I don't want these seeds to go in there. See, I said I was going to try not to run around my kitchen too much, and here I am doing it. All right. So if you don't have any seeds in there and you have some with a pulp, that's totally fine. If you don't want to strain it, that's all right. I was just too lazy to pick out my seeds. And then this, again, you can throw it down your garbage disposal, freshen it up a bit. Okay. Then I'm going to add some pepper. I'm usually pretty generous with this. I'm going to add some parsley. And you'll notice I'm kind of just doing this all to eyeball. So about a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. But again, change it up depending on what you like. If you don't like black pepper, do not have to use it. I'm using dried parsley because I have very naughty kitties who tore up my herb garden yesterday. But if you have fresh parsley, that's great as well. So maybe about a half tablespoon, somewhere around there. And then I'm going to go ahead and also add in some olive oil. Got my olive oil here. I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons, which I have here. So 1 and 2. Just give this a nice little stir. So the lemon juice and really any acid in general mellows out the garlic. So if you're ever making something that has raw garlic in it, like hummus, a good tip if you don't want that really strong garlic flavor coming through is to mix it with your lemon juice in the case of hummus or an acid in something else and let it sit for maybe about 10 minutes. So let me set that aside for a sec. I am going to use this other lemon in lemon slices. Throw that down there. And this is going to go on top of my salmon as well. You could zest it. I'm not going to because I want the oils in the skin to infuse into my salmon a little bit. And I don't want you all to sit here and watch me zest lemons this entire time. Okay, so maybe about 4 is good. And we'll save this half for zesting later on. All right, so pulling my sheet tray over here. This is the part I'm going to get messy with it. My hands are clean right now. They will get dirty and I will wash them. If you do not want to get dirty, you can use a spoon or something else. We'll just go ahead and gently pour it over and kind of rub in the garlic and the lemon zest, making sure it's evenly distributed. And you'll notice a lot of the lemon juice and the olive oil is running off, and that's fine. We just want a little bit on top. It'll help keep the salmon moist. All right. Fantastic. All right, so I'm going to set that to the side. Let me go rinse my fingers off, wash them. And I'm going to set this to the side. So now I'm going to prepare the vegetables that are going to go on the sheet tray. So salmon cooks pretty quickly. It only needs to get up to 145 degrees. So I can use a lot of vegetables that cook a little bit quicker as well. So you might not want to pair salmon with potatoes unless you cut them up into smaller pieces because those hard vegetables, maybe like carrots as well, will take longer to cook. But this is great because I wanted to use those green beans and my tomatoes, which I don't want to cook a whole ton. I just want them to get a little bit crispy. Though I will say roasting tomatoes is very delicious. Getting them really nice and jammy. I'm a big fan of that. So these green beans and the tomatoes as well, actually, are from the Lowville Amish. And they are one of the farm collaboratives of the North Star Food Hub. So here I've got my green beans in here. I'm just going to cook them with the stems on. You know, when we eat them, we'll pull them off. But I decided I didn't want the trouble of breaking them off and trimming them. So I'm adding this. I'm going to add these beautiful cherry tomatoes as well. So when I was mentioning before good sources of local foods, especially up here in the North Country, the Amish are an excellent resource. Getting from them through the North Star Food Hub or at roadside stands is an excellent option. Just a few things to note. Oh, sorry, I should angle you down. I'm mixing all this together with a little bit of olive oil. Just a little bit because there is already some in my pan. So just some notes. When you purchase from the Amish community, oftentimes the roadside stands are through the honor system. So make sure you bring change and cash to be able to support them. Also, often are closed on Sundays. So do your grocery shopping, your produce shopping during the week or on Saturdays. And like many roadside stands, they don't use refrigeration. So go shopping early. because it also does sell out very quickly. So now I'm just adding my green beans. The other thing about roadside stands, and in particular roadside stands of Amish farmers, look for products that aren't necessarily produce as well. So fresh baked bread, eggs, other baked goods, and some really delicious options at roadside stands in general. So that is where the green beans and these lovely tomatoes have come from. And I'm just making them in a little bit of a, I guess like a wreath around the salmon. These will steam a little bit, which I'm kind of looking for. I want the green beans to really release their flavor, which happens when they steam a little bit. And they're steaming just because it's so densely packed in there. If you want them to get a little bit crispier, you might want to do this on 2 trays, but I feel like having it all on 1 tray is the purpose of a sheet pan dinner. So let me go wash my oily hand again, and I'll talk to you about some other stuff. I should also mention at this point, I am keeping an eye on the live chat. At least I'm trying to. So if you have any questions or comments, if you have a favorite local farmer that you like purchasing from, shout it out in there. We'd love to hear. So isn't that beautiful? I feel like it almost looks like some sort of wreath or something. So this is going to go into our 400-degree oven for about 15 minutes. And then we'll go ahead and temp it and see if it's at 145 degrees. Okay. Yum. So 15 minutes, I said. And, oh, I forgot. Just notice, those lemon slices that I very carefully sliced up are supposed to go on top of that. So let me pull that back out. Oh man, it already smells like very garlicky and lemony. Okay, so I'm just gonna put my lemon slices, kind of nestle them on top of the salmon. This will also help prevent it from drying out. If you've cooked fish before, you know that sometimes that's something you can worry about. So this will help keep it nice and juicy while it cooks and infuse a lot of delicious flavor. Okay, so now, pretty sure that's done and I haven't forgotten anything about that. All right, so now we can make our carrot top pesto. So this pesto, you can absolutely put it on top of your salmon and mix it in with your veggies when you're done. I also like to keep it for potato salad, so mixing it with some smashed potatoes or roasted potato cubes. But you can really use it for anything that you would use pesto for. So I'll probably use it tomorrow night is pizza night. I'll probably use it on my pizza in place of marinara sauce. All right, so go ahead and angle you down again. So I got these beautiful carrots, and some of the stem is okay, but I don't want a lot. So I'm going to kind of cut it where the fronds start. So do you see that kind of right in there? Perfect. And we want about 2 cups for this recipe, though this recipe can be scaled up or down. If you have kitchen shears, that would be really great to make this a little bit easier as well. So 2 cups, maybe is a cup and a half. So I'll probably use these 3, and then I have 2 extras that maybe I'll make pesto later on if I get more carrot fronds or do a half batch, or you can always cut it and freeze it for later use, or I might give it to my compost pile or look and see if kittens are allowed to play with it. But I'm not sure about the kittens playing with carrot fronds, so do your research. Okay, so now I'm going to use my food processor. And I think I've shown you all before my cute old tiny food processor. So hopefully this is going to work. So already I have 1 clove of garlic in here. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in 3 tablespoons of walnuts. So you can use another type of nut. If you have a nut allergy, you might try experimenting with sunflower seeds or something like that. It's just going to add a little bit of creaminess. So I am going to pulse this. It's going to be loud. You might want to turn your volume down. So even if you have a larger food processor that has a greater capacity, I still recommend doing it in these batches. I find that otherwise sometimes the garlic gets lost in the fronds and you might bite and get a huge chunk of garlic in your pesto, which is, not the worst thing, but sometimes a little bit surprising. So then I'm going to go ahead and have a 4th cup of Parmesan cheese. Let's go ahead and add that in. So cheese and milk is another local product that is delicious and pretty readily available up here in the North Country. We have a lot of really great dairy farms. And then I'm going to add in my my carrot tops, my carrot fronds. So I have a question for all of you watching, and it's been bugging me for a couple of days. So I hope one of you will know what I'm talking about and type it into the live chat. But I remember as a child reading a book that was maybe with a devious hare, a devious rabbit in it, who was making a soup. Or no. This hare had a farm with some other animal. And he made a deal with this other animal. And he said, we're going to plant these crops and we'll split everything 50-50. Do you want roots or tops? And the animal was like, I want roots. And then they planted like lettuce and things where the roots you don't really eat. And then the other animal was wise to it and said, next season I want the tops. So then they planted potatoes and carrots, the hare did. Is this ringing any bells for anyone? Okay, think about it. Please let me know. I've been not able to find it. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to fit in all my carrot fronds on this first go, but I'm hoping that once I process it up a little bit, it will work a little bit better. And yes, I could have done this in my blender, and you can do it in your blender too. I just feel like it hasn't been working as well for me recently. So we're going to go ahead and try this. So let me pack a little bit more down there. I don't know if any of you saw the naughty kitties running past, but they're naughty. So adding some more of this in. So the other thing that I really like about local foods, and in particular things like carrot tops, knowing where they come from, because they are so delicate. Sorry, I'm going to pulse it again. Because they are so delicate and they are something that people, it's mostly grinding up, I promise. And it's something that people don't always think to eat. I always kind of worry about using it in terms of chemicals and things. So it's nice to be able to choose to get these from local farmers who I know are not using harsh chemicals on this part that I'm going to eat. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I feel like you all. Oh, someone shared the book is called Tops and Bottoms. Okay, I probably should have been able to guess that, but thank you so much. I know what I'm going to be doing this evening. I feel like you all might be losing faith in me about this carrot pesto. I promise if you have a blender or a food processor that works well, it would be done by now. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my olive oil because I think that might help. You need 1/4 cup. Go ahead and add this in. And I'm also going to add in some salt and pepper at this time. So again, just eyeballing it. Probably in this case, less is more because we can taste it and add more as we go on. For those of you who are interested in this book that I'm talking about that I really enjoyed and you might enjoy going back to it too, it is Tops and Bottoms by Janet Stevens. So thank you, Anne Allday, for solving that big mystery that's been puzzling me. All right, we're gonna grind this up again. All right, there, that's working. The carrot tops still are getting a little bit tangled around my centerpiece. All right, I apologize. I was getting really sick of my blender, and then I should have realized that my food processor might not be that much better. So I'm not going to make you all watch me struggle with this anymore because I think it would be so much more fun to make a yellow watermelon and cucumber salad, right? But so I will just tell you, you make this in a larger food processor or a larger blender, it works like a dream. It would be done by now. The consistency we are looking for, I do have some of it is that of kind of normal pesto. And so you want it a little bit finer than this is now, but it will all blend up together and become really nice and neat. And it's really tasty. I'm convinced that it tastes a little bit spicier, like have a little bit of a more of an earthiness than a normal pesto. But I hope you do try it. And if you have some tasting notes of what you think it tastes like, let me know. I'm not sure if YouTube will let me post photos in the comments, but I will finish this after and I'll post a photo there for those of you who are curious. Let me set that to the side. All right, so then we have a couple minutes left on our salmon before we check it, and even then we might have a little bit more time. So I'm going to show you a quick salad. All right, so as I mentioned, I'm going to be making this salad with the yellow watermelon and the cucumbers. I've got some feta cheese here. And if you do not have naughty animals who tear up your herb garden, you might have basil or mint to put on this. So we've got our watermelon. And I gave it a good wash already. I like to use just like my carrot brush here to give it a good scrub, just to loosen up any dirt. You know, a lot of times the watermelon grows sitting in the dirt, and just to make sure. And then I like to use a bread knife with the serrated edges. I think it makes it a little bit easier than a chef's knife. Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought this was going to be a yellow watermelon from the outside. What a fun surprise. This recipe will absolutely work with a red fleshed watermelon, I promise. So, take off one top, and then we're going to take off the other top as well. That just makes it a little bit easier. Set those to the side, and then I'm going to cut it in half. And I want cubes for this watermelon. You might want different shapes, or you might eat this in a different way, but I'm going to go with, I think they call them batons. So this watermelon, I should mention, I didn't say where the carrots were from, but the carrots were from Riverside Farms. grown by Carly Bassinger. And you can find out information about all these farmers. You know, they might have websites, or you might find them out on, and I'm just going to do one watermelon for now. This other one I'm going to set to the side. Just a quick note that watermelon does stay fresh longer if it's kept intact, even if that is just like a half a watermelon. So you want to cover this with saran wrap, beeswax wrap, something like that, to prevent the air from getting in. All right, so Riverside Farm, you can find out information about a lot of different local farmers in your area through profiles on the North Star Food Hub, if they have a Facebook page or a website. If you go to Cornell Cooperative Extension of Jefferson County, if you go to our website, we also have a local food guide for Jefferson County, and it has a lot of information on different farmers and what they grow. So that's really cool. I looked up a little bit about Carly and her practices. Okay, this is going to be too dangerous. I'm not going to cut this one. This will be a good size. All right. So then, just going to use my knife to cut out these pieces. Oh, it's so juicy. It smells so good. Watermelon might be one of my favorite smells in the world. And if you see any seeds, you can just pop them out. No biggie. So I think I was saying one of the things I like seeing when I get a produce or a fruit is seeing, you know, what the farmer believes in, what else they grow, and all that good stuff. So the carrots were from Riverside Farm, Carly Bassinger, and then this watermelon is from Zook Farms, which is another farm in the Amish community of the North Country. Right. I'm just popping this in. All right, let me check on my salmon. Pop some seeds. You could also save the ones that might have a lot of seeds for a good watermelon seed spitting contest. Always good fun. Ooh, it smells good. Whenever I say something smells good or looks good or something like that I'm making, I always remember when I would watch cooking shows with my mom, and she would just comment on, well, they have to say it looks good or smells good, like they're trying to get us to make their recipes, or they're trying to make themselves sound like a good chef. And so I'm sorry if I'm doing that, but it really does smell good. So now we're just going to go ahead and temp it right into the center there. The salmon is not as pink, which is a good sign. All right, it's going up. I don't know if you can, you can tell it's at, oh, I'm not very good at holding it steady. Going up 120. So another way for fish, obviously the food thermometer is the safest way to tell if it's fully cooked. Another way with fish, though, if you don't have a digital or meat thermometer, is to see if it flakes with a fork. So you can just push the tines of a fork in, and if the flesh easily separates, you're going to be good to go. All right, so it's hovering right around 139. We're going to give this a good wash, pop this back in for about 5 minutes. Right. Oh, I don't know if you can tell, some of the tomatoes have split and the juices are kind of leaking out and mingling. Love to see that. Okay, so I said maybe we'll do 3 minutes because it was pretty close. Okay, I have my washed thermometer. And just when you're temping something multiple times, especially meat, it's safest and best practice to wash your meat thermometer in between, because you don't know if there's germs that linger on there and are then put in the meat and not cooked away. Just because some bacteria needs to be held at a certain temperature before it will die, and if you're just sticking it in and then taking your meat out, it might survive. So, all right. Well, I I feel like I'm kind of running out of time with that salmon coming out. So I will show you the next part of the salad. But I do want to note with these rinds here, I did something new last week and I made pickled watermelon rinds, if you can see, and they're pretty tasty. They were very surprising. I hadn't heard of them or made them before. But you pickle them like you would something else with ginger and garlic and whatever you want. But the way you do is you actually take off this green part of the skin, and you can see it's a little bit easier if it's whole or in bigger pieces. But you can use a veggie peeler like that, and then you're going to cut it into small pieces. And so there's recipes online that you can find. You could also, if you have a piece, just carefully chop that off, and this is what you pickle there. So I highly recommend. It's a pretty refreshing snack food. I would think it would be good for a cheese board or something like that. Okay, sorry, I angled you up and I realized you probably don't need to be here. So I'm grabbing one of the cucumbers from the box, or the bag as it were, and I'm going to take off one end. And I am going to peel it a little bit, just because cucumber skin can sometimes be a little bit tough. It's just kind of the way it is. But I like to leave a little bit on there, and we're going to slice it pretty thin. And those strips, if you wanted to, I threw them in my compost bowl, but you could infuse them in your water, and it'd be really good. So this one actually is a little bit thick, so that's going to be one of my snack ones. This might be a little bit thin. If you have a mandolin, I like using a knife that has these dimples in them, because that helps prevent whatever you're cutting from sticking to here. So it helps it cut through a little bit easier. So I'm just getting some nice thin slices. Okay, and just to reiterate that I mentioned before, I had washed this before I cut it. So depending on what you want your cucumber to watermelon ratio to be, you can add more, you can add less. I will end up using the whole cucumber and the whole watermelon. And then I'm going to add just a few crumbles of feta cheese. Again, if you have mint or basil, that would be really good, or a goat cheese. I like feta because it's a little bit salty, and so it contrasts really well with the sweetness of the watermelon. And I think it's nice to crumble up, and it will evenly distribute. And then I'm just going to use my hand, toss it all together so you kind of get an idea of what the finished picture would look like. You could also cut your cucumbers into like half moons, but you got your nice salad here. I think that this is a really pretty one. We always say we eat with your eyes first. So something that you can plate really pretty, mix it together, get all your flavors melding. And then you'll have a nice little plate. If you get really ambitious, you can make the little florets out of the cucumber. But the green and the pink are just a really nice color combination. All right, I don't know if you heard our salmon beeped. So let's go ahead and check it out. Okay, this time I can really start to smell the tomatoes. So that is a good sign. Okay, so let me go ahead and angle you down. I've got my clean thermometer, and we'll go ahead and take their internal temp. So you might not be able to tell, but because that's in the way, but I'm choosing it at the thickest part. We're at one. Oops, I'm trying to keep it steady. There we go. And sometimes I just try to take it in maybe two places just to make sure. All right, and we are at 145 over there as well. So we are in good business. So just to recap the different things that we made today, we made a nice watermelon and cucumber salad. So this one's going to be super refreshing, either a good appetizer or even a good like palate cleansing dessert. Really delicious. We've got our sheet pan dinner of lemon garlic salmon with roast green beans and our cherry tomatoes, which is still looking very beautiful. And then we have our carrot top pesto, which is to be completed, but that's a great way to use up those carrot tops and not have them go to the waste, and then get a delicious food product that you can use for pizza and things as well. So if you are interested in learning more about local food, if you're interested in checking out the North Star Food Hub, the Taste New York store, any of the roadside stands or CSA roadside stands or farmers markets that I talked about, you can check out our CCE Jefferson website and go to local foods. And there's information on there about going to the North Star Food Hub website, how to find roadside stands, what farmers grow what, and just a lot of information about the benefits of supporting local foods. So thank you so much for joining me today. This was really fun, and I hope that, I know we made a couple more dishes than we usually make, and so I hope you got some inspiration from some of this, and I hope you go read Tops and Bottoms as a book for next class. There will be a quiz on what happens, and enjoy. I will again try to share a picture on the bottom of the carrot top pesto so you can see the consistency that we're going for with a functioning food processor. But I love to see anything that you make, whether it's one of these dishes or if you use one of these food products in a different way. So if you do, please send us a picture. You can send it to the Cornell Cooperative Extension of Jefferson County Facebook page, just in a message, and I will see it on there. But other than that, I can't wait to see you all again next week. Thank you for joining, and I'm glad that you all made it over to the correct streaming link. That was a big relief for me. All right, we'll see you all later.